We'll call the Rock County Lake District Board of Commissioners to order for July 16th. Welcome to our first outside meeting, I think. Confirmation of meetings, public notice, they were sent to all the usual locations. Approval of the agenda. We have a motion to approve the agenda, please.
Motion to approve.
That would be as amended.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended for July 16. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of the June 18th draft meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
A second.
Any additions, corrections, questions, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor of the draft meeting minutes for June 18, 2020, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Public participation. I think you were the only public here.
We're fine.
We're gonna be pretty informal this evening, so. All right. Treasurer's report, bills and invoices. Mark?
Okay, I'll just run down the July financial report. Dam fund CD1 has 236,712.88 units. Have matured February of 21. Dam CD2 actually matured and that was moved just a day ago to the money market account, but the balance was 209,445, 479. The on money market is 260,908.41 for a total in the dam fund of 707,067.08. Lake improvement money market is 107,125.31. The June 29th balance was 99,716.41. Then we paid Kim, Mead and Montgomery and Associates, Mead and Hunt, Thompson Legal, Anderson Appraisal for the appraisal on the Old Landing project, and 2 Reliant bills. Deposit, 2 small deposits for an adjusted balance of 96,067.96.
Okay.
And that date is wrong. I had a couple typos in there, so I'll get those dates adjusted.
Okay, that should be 6/30/2020?
Yeah.
Okay.
A few notes. We requested a draft resolution for the exempt parcels, which we have, and it needs to be signed by Alan and Jim July. So, I guess that's all approved. That makes it official, and I'll pay back Rock River Leisure Estates $1,305. And then there was a repayment to the town of Sumner of $1,500 approved at the last meeting, which I wasn't at. So I'm not real clear on what that was for, but something from last year.
Something from years ago. That
Check
was-
they gave them that they
Promised to pay back.
promised to rip up and they cashed it.
Oh,
So,
okay. So we're gonna give that back to the town of Sumner too. We're waiting on NOAA to provide daily water level forecast. They still do the flood forecasting as always, but we want them to do a daily forecast that
like they were.
I don't think they ever have yet. They do it when it's in danger of flooding or flooding, and then when it comes off of that 9-foot mark, the forecast stops, so we're trying to get them to do it all the time. So we have a little bit of a crystal ball as far as what the lake might do.
But that hasn't showed up yet.
It's not working yet, or they haven't wrote programs or the software to do it.
Okay.
They have the tools, so. BMO records request is signed by the officers, and it isn't submitted yet, but I'll get that submitted. We're suggesting a vote for an assessment versus mill rate at the annual meeting, and you'll see that in the budget to follow here. And then also you'll see qualified projects require a special charge in addition. So kind of separating our normal cost of operations and lake management from capital projects so that it tracked separately and budgeted separately than our day-to-day. And then I'd also like to create a project review that could allow regional projects to happen, so they aren't turned down by, you know, a global effort. So you either would have a global project like the dam, or a regional project, you know, a community wants to improve the boat landing by them, or something along those lines. We should facilitate that. Or if, you know, the wetland groups wants to finance a project but needs a facilitator, and that has happened in the past, and we haven't done anything like that for years and years now. So I'd like to try to get that back and see more projects happen. The dam project needs more funds, of course. We're already underwater on that. The grant award is $400,000, assuming we can make everything happen and get all the budgets together by the end of the year.
And also assuming it costs 1.8. Yeah.
Or more,
Yeah.
because of the max.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't think that's a problem.
I don't think so.
So, without any input yet, this is kind of a preview and a baseline budget of what would cover what I know, which is our cost of operations, some lake management, and a very large dam project. So I think we can get by with $132,000, which is translates to $30 a parcel, or a mill rate of 0.002, which is $20 per 100,000 of assessed value. So my 2021 budgets are actually you can follow across the 2019 actuals, the 2020 budget, and that's where I came up with the numbers. They were kind of you know, real cost from the last couple of years. When you look down at the dam cleaning and boom, which we're putting Kim under that actually is gonna run over in 2020 because we paid him for 2019 in 2020.
Right.
So it skews that a little bit, but 15,000 will cover him. He's $1,200 a month. And then there's a couple little notes, but this is basically a preview, and you know, try to get people thinking about what else should be in the budget. And with this set stripped down budget, and then the dam project is handled separately, which would require a special charge of $45 to $50 to make that annual payment every year. If we borrow $1.5 million or more.
Is that an additional or
It's an additional charge, yeah.
45?
Yeah, so that, and I think all projects should be handled like this, of any magnitude, that way, when a taxpayer votes, they're voting for, I'm okay with paying $45 to get
For that project.
Yeah.
Okay, levy is gonna be for operations and everything else.
Right.
Capital expenses are gonna be a fee, a special,
Right,
special charge.
right, and that'll go away when the loan's satisfied.
Right.
So basically, you would fall back to the $30 at that point. And what I also built into this budget is a savings plan to replenish the dam fund. So we get a $400,000 grant. That we won't get paid that until the project's completely done, everybody's satisfied, all the regulators and whatnot, and then we get this lump sum check. I'm proposing to put that back into the dam fund, to spend the dam fund down, put the grant money back in, and then have an annual savings plan, $30,000 a year, that would allow you to build back up to the 700 you spent. So as we're paying it down, we're building it back year over year. And then one thing that will probably come up or be planned is the boat landing. Whatever participation and whatever cost that is, I would suggest we allocate money out of the lake management fund for that. So it isn't hanging in our budget, and you know, that we're 2 years deep on that project. Nobody owns the land yet, or the original owner owns the land, so it's really confusing our 2020 budget.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're kind of misappropriating funds to cover the overruns in the dam, and the money that was budgeted for the boat landing isn't being spent. So if we separate the projects from the annual budgets, then we don't have that problem. And that's just what I seen wrong with trying to manage the accounts this year, because there was, you know, we would have had a lot more in, but we changed that at the annual meeting last year. You know, we would have had $150,000 hanging in there. So if committees or commissioners or whoever think that money needs to be allocated to the project, we need that information before the annual meeting. And then we need to take it and insert it in here, tell the taxpayers we're gonna allocate money out of the lake management fund, or this money that we're allocating out of the dam fund for the dam project, and this is how we're proposing to pay it back. So it's the best I could do with a lot of assumptions on the cost of the dam project and not knowing anything about the other projects, so.
Okay, and I don't think any of us do know specifically the landings issue. I don't think any of us know.
Right.
So, yeah.
So if we miss, what I would suggest gets done is you make an allocation out of the lake management money, and if that sits in there for 2 years, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, it's dedicated for those types of projects, so you allocate some of it or all of it. That way it flows through the taxpayers as approved spending, and then if you need the money, take it when you need it. Otherwise, if you put it in this budget or overspend on the budget because you were unclear on what it was supposed to be for.
Right. And you underestimated.
Yeah,
Because
you're
you
gonna,
don't know what it's-
you'll blow
Yeah.
or
Or
over
overestimated.
budget, and then you won't be able to do other stuff.
Right.
So a high level look at what would happen in the dam project is I'm assuming we can get by for $2,275,000. We've already spent some money towards that for the planning and the grant application. And then if we took $700,000 out of the dam fund, we need to borrow $1.5 million. That ends up at like a 3.25% interest rate, which we should be able to do a lot better than that. It ends up being $180,000 annual payment for up to 10 years. After 10 years, the interest rate goes up quite a bit. So that's the number I used. It doesn't have to be. Steve had some ideas about bonds or whatever, but I need this much money. If I borrow it, it costs this much money back. That's how it looks. So the dam fund, if we take that savings plan first year, we'd have close to $750,000 net gross in there. So take 700 out. When you get that grant award in 2022, put that 400 in there, and then that 10-year savings plan will let you build back to that 750 you started with. Not that's real generic, high-level stuff. It's not empty interest. We're too far away from accuracy to worry about that. I think so. So that's how that would look, and if everybody can look at the budget and give some feedback, it's as close as I could get it using numbers we've been seeing the last couple of years. So.
Jenny, what would be a good target date for the printer to get this printed so we could distribute it?
I don't think we're gonna be able to do, if we use C&M printing, we can get it, it'll be 2 days.
2 days?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
that's the average, she said it was 2 days.
What I'm driving at is some time for the commissioners to give Mark
Some
opinions and
feedback.
ideas on the budget.
That'll probably depend on how long you guys would like someone to have it in their hand, the budget. So if you want them, I mean, we're on the 16th now, so if we stay with the August 15th for the meeting, then that's gonna take, let's say, 3-4 days just to even get everything ready and mailed out, plus then that's another 3 to 4 days, since mail is pretty slow right now. So it's just a little bit of a concern.
Well, I think it should go out with the newsletter.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think we should shoot for the newsletter for 14 days plus in advance.
Okay.
So if we gave the commissioners until this time next week to respond to Mark.
So it's 16th. Yeah, let's do that. This is just a question, Mark. Do you have the 6-month actuals that you could add in there for 2020?
I have that for the annual meeting.
I don't know if it'd be helpful, but just to see what you actually charged in 2020.
Yeah, and that is at with Summit County now too. So
Okay. Then we're
Again,
gonna
just
talk
a
about
thought.
that here too. So.
yeah, that'll be done. Just I might not be doing this time next year because of the nominations, after the elections. So one of the problems with our government is the annual meeting and a fiscal year are 2 different things.
Correct.
So I took over 3 months of somebody else's budget, which was kind of a different style than I have, and then I've restructured the financial report, which doesn't mean that the next person will follow it. So if you're doing an audit for a fiscal year, you could have pretty messy books created by that transition.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you should let that treasurer run the year out, or if you should change your fiscal year, or, you know, a lot of companies do that. They run from, you know, the last 3 months and the first 9 months and close out. So whatever, it's just something that if you don't, or you put it in your policies and procedures.
That's
it
where
says
I was gonna
this
go with
is-
that, yeah,
This
Yeah,
is
put
the
in policy
format.
procedure,
for the
leave it
treasurer.
this way.
right,
So,
right. That seems more logical than. Back to the bills. Is Mead and Hunt paid full on all projects?
we didn't get one today, did we?
No.
That
Well, we
that was a-
received a proposal today that I forwarded.
Yeah, they're paid as far as.
They're paid, okay, all right. I know there was a question of evidently the invoice number or whatever wasn't on, and they didn't know what it was, the check that they received was for, or
Yeah,
that's all straight.
I have to add all their indicators in so they know how to cash the checks. That happens a bit in.
Okay,
I have a quick
Um,
question.
yes,
So with the dam project, and I know the budget doesn't go out like to completion, let's just say, but is there any anticipation of like operating expenses of the dam like going up, like we pay Kim to clean the trash racks and stuff? Is it gonna pretty much stay consistent, do they think, or is there gonna be any more expenses? That's just something that we're going out.
Should go down, shouldn't it?
well, it should, but I don't think we should change it yet.
No.
Should be less.
Yeah, I mean, I
It
don't
won't be
anticipate
wicked
it being
gains.
more, but I didn't know if there was any projections on it.
Right.
so.
Should help.
Really, the general plan is to change the trash racks to a 12-inch center trash rack, which would really lessen the, I mean, it's still gonna take a daily inspection, that's required. But the actual physical cleaning of them probably won't be as much, but really, we can't answer that question yet. So. Mark, Summit and our annual audit. You've had some discussion with Summit on.
Yeah, it'll be done by the annual meeting
Okay,
with you know, a statement from them. And we found out that in the past, Summit was requested to be at the meeting in person to answer any questions that might come up or whatever. So of that $2,800, 1/3 of that was
The
that
in-person.
cost for the person to attend the meeting. So I say, you know, I don't think that needs to happen because we have the letter saying that, you know, we've went through the books, these numbers are accurate, and whatever questions are gonna be specific to a project or, you know, a line item in the budget or something like that. So I think we can answer our own questions.
we can read the statement.
Yeah.
Just like at any town or county, I mean, well, county, the accounting firm shows up, but towns, I've never seen an accounting firm show up at an audit or audit results.
They do. Ours will be at an annual meeting next month.
Your accountant?
Meet and Hunt, yeah,
Baker Tilly.
Johnson Block, out of Madison will be there. But they do an end of the year thing that gets turned into the federal government and everything else. And they, you know, they look at, what our treasurer and clerk uses for, the computer system, QuickBooks.
We don't
And it
use
goes
that.
through the explanation of QuickBooks, and, you know, it's a little more in depth than what this is.
So, Mark, in the past annual meetings, the accounting firm representative sits there and says, we reviewed the checkbook or whatever, but we weren't supplied with the information to give a
Right.
certain kind of audit. Is that gonna
Right.
change?
Yeah, we really are, by doing a compilation, that's not an audit. So they, in the past, you know, beginning, ending balances,
Mhm.
everything checks, but we don't know what the numbers mean that get us there. Meaning you don't know if it was a power and light bill, you don't know if it, like, so with this report, and the invoices stacked behind it, you could literally put month over month together and do something more forensic and say, okay, this is a legitimate cost, you know, by looking at those invoices behind it. So I think you could, the audit will, true audit would be cheaper because you're more organized on the way through and there's nothing to hide. So like what I don't know what the problem moving forward would be. And again, a good reason to follow a format and have in your document storage, have that whole packet, you know, zipped into that meeting information or whatever, however we're gonna end up storing stuff. I have boxes of stuff that, you know, my report has the backup in it, and then I just keep it all together and throw it on the pile until we get ready to start putting it in the cloud or a box or whatever. I don't
I'm
know.
glad he's looking at you, Jay.
Yeah. Well, and you know, that's something that Jenny volunteered to help, and then how much do we ask her to do without
It's-
payment or whatever? So,
It's just scanning. Is if you have those, if you're able to scan it, just scan it to me, and I have the cloud storage set up. So as of right now, Jim and I, because Jim is the one who's actually in charge of it, since he's the secretary, I'm just assisting him. But yeah, we have everything on cloud storage right now.
okay.
So yes, whatever
So-
you'd like to keep. We would need 7 years of the actual bills, the copies of the bills, and then the treasurer's report are already attached to it. So.
All right, so we'll start year one,
Okay.
2020.
Yep.
Feel
And
like
if
the Lone
anyone,
Ranger.
if anyone would like that information to get into that too, you're able to. So it's right now Jim and I decided to do the Google Drive at this point, plus then the hard drive, which I have to see if he decided on that one. But so it's just all whatever you'd like to scan and send to me is perfectly fine. Then I'll make sure it's in there.
Okay, that'll work.
All right, maybe we need to approve the, bills and invoices and the treasurer's report.
And there isn't any in there, but I can, these other ones are under $2,500, so I can pay them and put them in the next report,
Okay,
if that's okay.
yeah, that's fine,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah, there's one for, buoy placements.
Yep,
Um,
I just got that, and, then there'll be the town of Sumner for the repayment of $1,500, and, Rock River Leisure Estates for 29 zero value parcels will get back $1,305.
okay,
And then that'll clean us up pretty well on the exemptions, except for the Schedule F farms that may come in. But there's not a tremendous amount of parcels there. There might be,
okay,
Start approval on that? then?
yes, the bills and invoices and the treasurer's report, please.
I'll move that we approve the bills, invoices, and the treasurer's report.
I'll second that.
Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, I'm wondering if we shouldn't bypass annual meeting stuff. Does anybody have an issue with that? And I'll get the rest of his reports done, and then, because there's a lot of things that we need to cover for annual. So, could have, done that before, but, what's up here? Indian Ford Dam report, the gate project. I did just this afternoon receive from Mead and Hunt, and I will forward this to Jenny and ask her to distribute it. But it's a proposal for bidding support. It'd be bidding support proposal for the complete final design of discharge capacity upgrades at Indian Ford Dam, commonly known as the GATE project. So I haven't had a chance to review this, so I just wanted to let you know that I received it today. Jeff Anderson, Mead and Hunt, and I talked about this, emailed each other a couple of times, and it's going to amount to about, let's see, about 21 hours of in his initial review of this. It does not include construction report, construction support services for the project. I asked him to hold off on that proposal for obvious reasons, if the project okayed first. The only issue that I have with the proposal for final design is the timeline. They want us to accept the proposal by, I believe it was August 2nd. So I will communicate with Jeff Anderson, August 3rd, excuse me. I will communicate with Jeff and let him know that that authorization won't be until the 15th. Okay?
So on the dam project, are we determining that it's mandatory, or are we suggesting we do it? Because it seems like the DNR is telling us we have to do it per the directives, and as the owner of the dam by 2022. So, like, I don't know how you present that without creating a stir that, a whole bunch of people don't want to spend $2 million on this dam project just because it's $2 million. I think it needs to be told instead of asked, because it is mandated. Our regulating body. So I don't know. Do we have a choice? Really? We made a choice in 2014 not to do a lot of what they asked, and now that's piling on our cost. So this is like, it doesn't ever go away. It gets worse. The longer you wait, and the longer because everything's more expensive. So I'm just confused by that piece, whether it's absolute or whether the body can say we don't want it.
Well, and I had a discussion with Corporation Counsel today, and asked that very question, and that is why she recommends a resolution for that, and stated in the resolution that this is a required project by the DNR directive. So you're absolutely correct. It is. That's the approach that we have to take.
But it just makes it less quality.
Somebody.
Yeah, I mean,
It clears the water.
Make it or not.
Clears the
yeah,
water.
yeah, it's good for everybody. I think
I
we
mean,
all
it still
agree.
has to be passed by the electors.
The budget and
The resolution has to be passed by the
Okay.
electors.
I got you.
So,
I mean, that's something that we could use everybody's help with, you know, communicating that to people that might wanna just not like it to not like it.
Mhm.
So we will have a few of them.
well, I'm sure for, for various reasons.
Yeah,
So, yeah. Any questions? You received this.
yeah.
I'll forward it to Jenny.
I didn't read it either, so.
Okay? Anybody wanna read this? I can forward it to you too. So. All right, the water level order, I think Rick has it. Order IP-SC 2019-54 01639. Do you have that, Jenny? You
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
I will forward that to you. I think, have you seen that, or you've seen the order? Haven't you, Mark?
Our operating order,
No, this is the water level order.
Is this the same one we had last year?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't see that one, but,
This is from the 18th of June.
Right.
oh, yeah,
So that should've
same
been that
one,
same day.
yeah.
If it's the old one or the one from the previous meeting, that's already on the website.
That's already on the website.
Yeah,
was
that
gonna be
should have
my
been.
Suggestion.
Yeah, because I think you sent it to me.
Okay.
I did see that where they denied any
2
further
inches.
movement
Right.
until,
Further notice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
You get that dam done.
that'll become another topic at the annual meeting, and, we're 3 years into asking for what we already have. We haven't been in the operating order this year for
I don't think we've been in
Not yet.
a week.
18 months or better,
No.
more than that.
Yeah, so,
Not even last year.
I mean, and
Yeah, somewhere of 18,
If
I
you-
think was the last
if
time.
you put things in the proper order, you get the dam working, and then you worry about it. Like, it's just, to me, it's kind of frustrating living on the lake and watching it flood and then have people come and worry about getting that 2.5 inches in the order, which is kind of a big point. You got 2.5 feet most of the time. Like, it's bad. And then I see, like, and they're finishing up putting in piers in July, and then the lake goes brown. It's like, wouldn't it be nice to put your pier in and,
Have it consistent.
yeah, it's like,
We gotta sell that idea too. I mean, they gotta know that's part of this dam project is
yeah.
to stabilize everything.
Cause
That's important.
I'm not kidding you, they're hauling piers across in like the best water quality we have all year, they're still putting piers in. And to me, that's silly. I do my own, so I could, I move it 12 times.
I watched them put 5 in today across the lake.
Yeah,
They were taking them across 76.
so it's just, let's put things in more of a logical order and get things done. Get a project done. That's needs to be said, I think.
Put you on a soapbox, Mark. So.
Yeah.
All right, moving down my list, correspondence from Wheeler Van Sickle. There was a public records request from our attorney to Phil O'Connor for some records of last year's annual, which we are missing the minutes. Our attorney suggested that we put together a set of minutes from memory. I'm not sure I can do that.
Isn't that recorded?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Well, when Alan checked in to the facility,
Right.
she asked if she wanted it recorded because they always have wanted it recorded in the past. So, but no recording. So I don't know. The only thing we can do is clean it up forward, I guess. To do it better.
Well, there'll definitely be minutes this year, but this, and the public records request, as you all know, went over the list of properties that were exempt in the past. So, we worked from square one on that too, so. I did check, because I foresee the situation where will be required to use the website for communication because of the need to expedite the annual meeting to lower the risk for people attending. And I think we need to make that transition from the spoken word to the written word, at least this year, and use the website. And so I asked our website to give me a report. Give me a second to find not as organized as Kim is. Right? Oh, come on. Yeah.
Seems like that's the website.
Anyway, if I'm not going to find it, here it is. I'll pass this around. It's quite surprising the number of hits that the website gets. So I'm thinking that it will at least initially serve the purpose for those communication needs. The resolutions, the treasurer's reports, everything that we will cover at the annual meeting. I mean, we can touch on them, but certainly it will speed up the process. Okay.
Surprising number of hits.
Lake and landing access, updates. Jim and I met with Dane County Parks representatives and talked about, I think it was the study that you came up with. And
From the DNR?
from the DNR.
Okay.
Right from Jim Jelinek regarding Bingham Road landing discussion and recommendations. On June 23rd, 2020, Sweeney, Bowers, and Jelinek, Parks Director Darren Marsh, Dane County Parks Director Darren Marsh, and the architect for the Dane County Parks, Chris James, met at LB Town Hall, moving forward on the Bingham Boat Landing. Commissioner Bowers explained we are in need of more access, safer boat landings, including renovations and current landings on Lake Koshkonong. The reason we are addressing Bingham Road specifically was because the town of Albion expressed interest in investing funding towards the Bingham Road launch. Chris mentioned, that'd be Chris James, mentioned that there are grants available to assist in these types of projects. Dane County would be highly interested in purchasing the land or some of it. They would not be interested in maintaining the property. It was recommended that the Albion Township maintain the property. Chris James also stated there was several nonprofit organizations, including Safe Harbor and those focused on recreational boating, that have funding which could be applied for it and to assist with these projects. If we can secure grants, it would be an asset to move forward with addressing the need for maintenance and current boat landings. So recommendations to move forward. This is kind of Jim's bucket list here. Connect with DNR about the landings, existing landings. Let them know our options and ideas for fixing up various landings. Photograph and document the public landings around the lake and present that to the DNR, including noting the access, the current state, the number of parking spaces, the facilities, and so on. Move to secure the 2 acres of land and ensuring that we can still purchase it, begin construction plans on the project. I have gone to each of the public landings that I am aware of, took pictures and documented, this is Jim Jelinek, and documented marking parking stalls at the landings and accessibility. I'll put together a PowerPoint presentation of photos and documentation of the findings for a future meeting. That's about it.
We get some entertainment.
Any questions on that?
Hey.
Okay,
Can I ask one?
yeah.
Is he advocating that the Lake District, did I hear you say Dane County would own the property?
Buy the property.
Buy the property? Then they own it? Or they want to turn ownership over to who?
I would guess they turn over.
To Albany, Albion
Well,
Township?
yeah, certainly not the Lake District, but yes. I think that's the only alternative right now, that's my opinion. But I think that's way down the road. So,
Thank you.
all right. Needs and partners, well, Jim isn't here, so we'll have to wait for that report going forward. Lake District Management buoys and rail bridge markers. Mike?
Okay, I got hold of the bridge and lighting through the Coast Guard. They have a separate office. And they got me in touch with McDermott Solar Bridge Lights. And they suggested that we would put, we have 6 piers down there. And who here remembers did, gave us a speech last week.
Adam Walton.
Adam Walton said that both of those center were clear. Okay, that's what I thought too. Someone told me today that that's not true. But I said, yeah.
Well, you said those were the clearest.
Clearest, right?
Yes,
I've been
yeah.
taking my boat through the one side now too, and I haven't hit anything. So, but anyways, irregardless of that,
Yeah.
we can either mark 1 or we can mark 2, and there is. They have a set map, what they like to do on railroad bridges, they put the lights, 2 red lights on each side with a center green light. And the other thing they said, well, if you have shallow water, do you want to, you can create 2 piers, just put 1 green upstream on the right hand side, coming downstream would be on the right hand side. And so you have separate, you won't have boat traffic in between 2 piers, it'll be like a split highway. And the other thing is, we have 6 piers there. Now, we want to get lights, mark all 6, which would take 12 of them, versus 6 red lights at $359 a piece. And the total of 12 would be $43.08. For 12 red lights, to put them on each pier side.
I guess the question would be, if you're gonna mark 2 channels, or mark them, red and green, why would you need anything outside of that?
Well, some situations where somebody's gonna say, well, there's open water, let's go that way.
Yeah, but you can't cure stupid.
Have you had input?
Oh, but some people don't know when they look at it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
See, when
Yeah, they're
if
not
they were
gonna-
coming up,
Rules.
just say you come from Indian Forge, you'd see three red lights,
Mhm.
and the green light hangs in the middle.
Yeah,
So you would stay to the right and go through the
Yeah.
channel,
pretty simple.
and coming back the same way, so you'd have three, we could go 6 then, that would cut that, so 2150 apiece.
If you get it really lit up,
2150.
people are gonna get more confused in my mind.
Yeah, probably, maybe so.
I mean, if it looks like a billboard when
Well,
you
we
come
can
up.
start
to
with
it.
the 6, and something goes awry, you put,
This might be a really great donation project that of people getting involved and saying they'll if there's no money for it.
and the green light, so there, I'll pass this around, there's
Would
the
it
green
say
lights hang
channel
down with
light?
the solar, they're solar lights, so we don't have to run any electric, so that's gonna greatly reduce.
Would you light up channel? Like, if you're gonna use a right-hand side going up, would you, at night, could you light it up
You
channel and
can,
make
they,
it pretty
they do
clear?
have solar white lights that would give light between the,
That hang on the underneath?
yeah, here, I'll pass this around so people can see that.
Attracts the fish.
Yeah, it all goes under there.
Burlingame, get out of the way.
Has there been issues or problems with that in the past?
Oh, there's been a lot of boats that
I
have
don't
been,
go
It's
down that part of
very,
the river,
very
so I don't know.
difficult.
Somebody's
I
always-
live past there, and it is very difficult at night to
you
see.
can't see it, it's so old and rusty that it,
Yeah.
Right.
it just blends in with everything.
Black
Yeah.
and
It's always been
everything's
difficult.
black.
Yeah, and the only reason I say the donation is because of there was those lighted buoys that they put up, and quite a people in my neighborhood asked, "Oh, we would have donated if we would have known about it." And because again, for anyone at least past that, I think they'd be interested in at least giving a portion of it if possible. But
Right.
I like the idea.
Along with getting more white
What?
lights for our
Crowdfunding?
buoys.
like I said, it's one of those things that there's a lot of people that come down. At least we don't do that much night boating, but there is a lot of people that come down there at night, and so I would be concerned that they'd be able to not see. I personally cannot see at all. My husband's better when it comes to it. When he's driving, he can see at least see when he goes through, but
You can't see it all.
well,
What's your boat look like?
I don't drive the boat very often, so don't worry about that.
Thank
But thanks.
I like the
Um,
idea of the, the green light to the right either way, so you divide it like a highway. That isn't a bad idea.
I mean, all the lights might be a good idea, I think.
Well, we
I
should
think
get
too
white
many,
lights for all the buoys also.
yeah, too many lights gets confusing then, when you're pulling up.
We've
and-
got one light here,
Yep,
that's very
makes sense.
confusing. It's like a snowmobile trail. If you ever ride on a snowmobile trail, it's only one marker. You don't know the right side, left side of it. And so you're off the trail, so you should always use two, so you keep in the center of them.
Okay, suggestions.
So are these flashing lights or just on lights?
They're on like,
So, any of the neighbors thinking that there might be a too bright of an
these aren't
aspect
the
of this?
brightest, so
Okay.
yeah, I asked that too. I said, man, is like, gonna be someone annoyed with it? 'Cause it's-
I'm sure there will be.
These are visible up
Yeah,
to a mile and a
probably.
half, I think.
Either
on
way,
the,
yeah.
But they said the other ones, you can see from 5 miles, but we're right, it's on a curve anyways, so we don't need anything bright, we just need it.
One
Well,
to
there's
three,
the grid.
1 to 3
6
miles.
feet?
Do you hang them under the trestle, or do you hang
No,
them in
these
front
would
of the
mount
trestle?
right on top of the concrete. And the green light is
Be
an
in the center.
adjustable rod that you mount on the side rail, and it's got a rechargeable solar panel on it, and you adjust it where you want it. So if you have a green dot right there in front of it, you could put it right in front of the steel lip, so that would give you your elevation too at night with a pontoon, whatever else, or.
The railroad would have to mount them.
Yes.
But that's no cost, right?
I have not received any estimates, but I think it'd be at no cost.
Yeah, these, either epoxy or.
Right, because they do not want people on their bridge mounting lights. So,
May I ask one more question?
yeah,
Did I understand you right, Mike? Or the idea is, the concept is, if there's two openings that you can use,
Right.
going, let's say, going downriver towards Indian Ford,
Stay
one
in
side,
red.
would say green, the other side would be
Be
red.
So, yeah, we
And
have
then
to
coming
have
back up, the opposite would happen on the red side, there would
Right,
be
you'll
green
see
coming
the
up.
green
and-
right on the right side, and you'll just see
Okay.
2 red lights on your left.
Okay. Thank you.
Like a red on each one of the piers and just a green on
Right in
the
the
side
center.
that they can go.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of boats that have hit
Oh,
the piers.
oh, yeah. I remember years ago,
Some
we used
bad
to wait to
accidents.
get through, because somebody else is coming through and you wait
Right.
for the next one and you took your turn, but,
And even we could have the railroad paint channel on the right side, coming down, so you're on the right, channel on the right side during the daytime. You don't
Yeah,
have people
that would
coming
help.
into each other all the
Right.
time. Because with that current that comes down and when it's strong, someone can't get through and somebody else is in the way, and if they're bumping into the side of the concrete pier.
That's all no weight now.
Yeah,
supposed to be.
and some
They
white
did
lights
use
there
some
would
for you.
help
I was gonna
too,
say, I
on top
don't think
end
I've seen
buoys.
anybody, but it's so dangerous there,
Suggestions
even during the
you
day,
want
so.
Well, I'd like to go with
Good
it.
idea. I mean, this whole thing's a good idea.
I think for the
Give
cost.
Give us a,
So how many lights on each side then?
Well, you'd have a total of 6 red lights, 2 green lights. And we could probably let's get 3, I think there's only 1 light working down there on the buoys now.
Yeah,
There's 4
I
buoys
think,
and maybe
there-
get 3 white lights to make sure that you got
Channel markers.
the channel marked. with it.
are you adding these up?
Well, it'd just be additional, the color that's still 359 times. I got it on that piece there. What was it?
359.
359 a piece times 6, no, 8, because, or 3 till 9. What's that have to be?
get the calculator.
29, 50, 20, 16, 20. And then you got 2, what was the cost of the greens?
1346.
1346.
And how many of those?
2 of them.
That's,
1346 for 6 red and 2 green?
cause it's 50,
2850 for the 6 red and 3 green, or 3 white.
and then those are 1,346
Per
each,
piece, right.
so 5564.
So say 6,000. And
Yeah.
what about the towers,
That comes with it.
solar panels?
So is this something you prefer exploring the donation route?
I don't know, I think the sooner we get them on there, the better it is.
Do you have money?
That's something that's been needed for years, and it's been discussed forever at the board meetings, but nothing's ever been done.
Mark, do we have 2 nickels to rub together?
Yeah, we would.
Well, we could still
I
go
mean,
for a
we-
donation.
Well, you can
Order-
use
we
it
can
for
order
other
'em,
stuff,
and in
it's just,
the meantime,
if it comes down to, the reason I said that was because if it comes down to it and somebody says, yeah, we don't have it in the budget, then, a donation option
Well,
may
you-
be
you
out
don't-
there.
You never have anything in the budget that's new after the annual meeting,
Right.
so it's not funded, but.
It's not really a capital project, it's more like a maintenance.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's where I was going with that boat landing and that, $50,000 sitting there, it isn't getting spent. We're overspending on the dam, but not by that much. So, the complex answer is, we could take some money from here and pay for them, no problem, assuming all this dam fund gets allocated to the dam project, so we can start spending out of there, so we get financed and all this. So there's a lot of assumptions when you move a dollar or something.
So what was that total gonna be,
Oh, yeah, it's about $6,000, but
It's shy of
So
6,000.
let me just double check though.
Taxes, probably wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're tax exempt, aren't we?
yeah, that's right, you are.
Tax exempt. So 359 times 6 of them, right?
Yep, or no, 9.
9.
We're gonna do white lights, 3 light lights for the
Okay,
trees.
that's 3231, and then 1346 and 1346. So 2 of those.
26.
So that's 5923 if we do 9 total.
So it's definitely a reasonable, it's like savings thing.
if somebody's gonna make a motion, let's be specific on the numbers. The
I'll make
unit
a
numbers
motion that we
and,
buy
and the costs.
6 red and 3 white at $3.59 a piece. I think that's what it is. And then 2 of the green at $13.46 a piece for marking the channel on the railroad bridge.
I'll second.
Okay, everybody understand the motion?
Do you need replacement lights for the buoy?
Yeah, that was, add them 3.
3 of them.
Yeah, we had 3 that we put in there.
We have
3
another
white ones.
buoy issue coming up, so we'll take care of that first for railroad bridge. If everybody understands the motion, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed with a no? Carried. Okay, as of last weekend, we lost one of the lighted slow-no wake buoys by Highway 59 bridge. I don't know where it went. And a unlighted channel marking buoy, which was found. But we are missing that lighted buoy.
Is it one of the big ones?
Yes. So, we need an outlet for that as well, and might have put a light on it.
Check the trash rags.
I was gonna say, you'd think they'd all, caught up somewhere between there.
Check
and-
under
With a
somebody's
chain
boat.
with a block on
Pardon?
it. Chain with a block on it.
Oh, the whole thing.
Those 3 that's 3 heavy, I don't know how.
Oh, somebody.
Somebody
They
worked
got
at
it in the
that.
garage.
Is it the farthest one down by the Leisure Estates where they don't really like that no rake? Is that the one that's gone?
No, I take it it's on the east side of the 59 bridge.
Yeah. It's the one.
So, anybody, does this facility have buoys?
Oh, no, they don't have buoys. No, but,
So we're,
They
well,
didn't like
Jim
it
Bowers
there.
has the address for the guys that we can talk to Jim and.
See, there's another one in the, on the fourth side, the top's gone off.
Yeah,
I just
there's-
drove up there this morning and,
Well, how does it work that the township, Fulton Township puts them in? Do they
They
own
don't.
them or who?
they don't, we own them.
They turned that over to
Yeah.
about 8 meetings ago.
Yep, we put them in,
so we put them in all the way up to Fort Atkinson or?
no,
No.
So it just short of there?
correct. Well, I understand at the 59 bridge, that's the first one.
There's
And
one in
all
the
the
middle,
channel and
just
slowing
past
away.
Harbor
Yeah,
Ave.
Yeah, there's
Harbor.
just at Harbor Road where it ends and then it goes down to the I-90 overpass, but that's it.
Yeah.
And then Railroad Bridge and then.
There
dam,
was
but-
one in front of the 59 bridge though. When you think about it.
Yeah, a lighted
There were
one?
2 of them there, wasn't there, Bert?
Yeah,
It was lighted, yes.
when they first put them in, I haven't
Yeah.
paid, I'm never out after dark, nothing good happens after dark.
There's one at the beginning and the end, which would be the furthest, to the east, I guess. But then between there and the bridge, I don't recall one being in there right now.
What would
Is
you
that the
do
one
with
that's
that?
missing?
I believe so.
Like people used to steal stop signs for some reason.
Yeah, but this got a chain and a block attached
They're
to
bigger
it.
than you think too.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean, they're
they're
still this much
They
underwater.
didn't want it
Yeah.
there.
I guess they, yeah, but
Well,
what do you
it's
do with
Someone
it?
put a
Yeah.
hook, ran into it and put a hole in it.
Well, there was a pontoon boat that almost ended up at the dam, it got caught by the cable at the bridge down in Indian Ford that didn't pull out.
This week?
They abandoned it, a pontoon boat, they abandoned it, 2 guys abandoned it. I was imagine there was some after night things going on there.
Mhm.
All right, we need some action on this.
I'll look for a new buoy.
Do you have the
Is that-
company name?
No, I said, we need some action on it.
Right, I think
Well,
we
we
need,
should replace them.
we need to replace that one, yes.
With a bigger rock.
Big steel posts and paint it white.
Very flush. You know, is that something that the DOT would allow to be, I've seen it painted onto the piers? like in Newville?
I have no idea.
I've seen that before too, where they have white painted with their orange symbol. I think they've got one here,
Oh, on the pilings, you mean?
but right on the pier itself.
Pier- the pilings, yeah.
It's there all the time,
Yeah, yeah,
just says no wait.
yeah.
Clean it every
But better than
spring,
just a hand.
water's up,
Yeah.
you know, he'll pull
Right.
the dam too far out.
Right up on the top, side of the bridge.
What's a buoy cost? No idea.
I can suggest that we, nominate Jim since he isn't here to explore the cost of replacement at buoy and,
Keep his eye out for the other one while he's taking
well,
pictures.
they've been looking for it for days.
I mean, there's a few that need to be replaced, they're broken off right on top, they're pretty shoddy and old. Probably get a cheaper deal if you buy a few than you do just one.
Action, gentlemen? Or not?
Move
I
that
can,
we,
I can ask
Well-
Jim to explore the,
Yeah, I think
availability.
we need a number, and then we, to Mike's point, I think we should look at replacing a lot of them,
okay.
you know, so.
Make them all uniform, so they're the same like the big ones now, so it's not a hodgepodge of garments or.
Has anybody got any idea what they run?
Bet you they're
I remember,
$1,000.
I remember
With
past.
a light on it. Yeah, with a light on it.
I know Kashan, we donated 4 or 6, I thought they were $1,000 a piece. For up on, you know, up on the other end, I don't know where they went.
Up to they're in the range.
But
Somebody got
that's been
like a buoy
gosh,
finish
4 or 5 years ago already.
Okay, I will, I'll ask Jim to look into
You
that.
never know.
Okay, we're gonna move into the, annual meeting. I took the liberty of bringing Lake Ripley's agenda from last year. We have to develop a agenda this evening. I don't know how many I'm gonna have.
Like here. We kind of look over each other.
I agree.
Share. Share with the gentleman behind us.
So, I think well, first I had a discussion with Danielle about this, about the agenda as well. Mark specifically of the resolutions that we're gonna put on the agenda, that she's going to help us, write those resolutions. I asked her what the reasoning for the budget hearing prior to the annual, and she said it's you still have to address it in the annual meeting, but the Q&A adjustments and input can be in the public hearing. And since we are floating the idea of a levy with a special charge, her recommendation was we have that in a budget hearing, and get that supported. Thank you. And get that supported, prior to the meeting. thoughts?
Do we have time to do that?
Yeah, we could. Well, we have to make time to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, is it realistic to squeeze it in between now and August 15th?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because, it could, the budget or, assessment or mill rate issue is what you're talking about?
Yeah.
General tax?
Well, both the budget, the format of taxing, either levy or special charge, and the amounts of the levy and special charge could be addressed in a budget hearing. Then you just take that general information, move it forward into the annual meeting, and then plug it into the annual meeting.
Pre-approve it.
Correct. Well, I don't think you'd really have to ask for approval at the budget hearing because it's just a hearing. The action would take place at the meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to do that. I don't, it might solve a long-term issue where like last year we redefined the budget, which changed everything
Right.
on the agenda. So certainly don't want that to become a habit. So that would be better to have that beforehand and get the budget kind of fixed. And but that, I'm thinking Rock-Koshkonong just got reassessed, which changes the whole baseline. So a mill rate may be a little bit harder to manage than a straight assessment.
Yeah, and that won't be out complete on the mill rate, I think until I think the clerk told me November. We don't know how that really impacts residents.
We'd have a lot more money.
Somebody's gonna, yeah.
From what I see.
Yeah. So I see your point there, Mark. I mean, that, I don't know
So
how you.
we can only act on the information that we have.
Yeah, but, point I'm making is if all the townships are doing those assessments at different times, then it's kind of, it's like a little bit of a roller coaster ride on what you're paying the district so it's not as even as the levy appears, because on the odd year that you get reassessed, you're gonna pay more than your neighbor across the,
School districts do this annually.
yeah.
Fire districts.
And it's just math.
Yeah.
So you can figure it out, but in the past they've always argued it's a lot simpler just to put the assessment out and count the parcels.
Okay.
But
What's the mill rate per thousand? What was the charge per thousand in your .002?
yeah, it'd be, and that was based on
0.002.
660 million of real estate in the district, assessed value.
And that's like what per thousand?
$20.
Per thousand assessed value would be
$20 per 100,000.
per 100,000.
So it's not, and actually paying that payment in the dam fund and all that stuff, it's not that much money, it's not, for everybody, it's not a tremendous hit. I'm just trying to, reason if you did a mill rate, then how do you make sure you're not collecting too much? Like if those hit in November and it adds $50 million of property to the district and well, that's what you don't wanna do for sure.
Yeah, right.
So I was just kinda laying that out in my head, I don't.
Okay. So what we're working on is the annual meeting agenda. So are you guys okay with the budget hearing? format of a budget hearing.
Yes.
Okay. I've asked Jenny to format this based on our input. Is that okay, Jenny?
Yes.
I warned her.
I know, you warned me, so.
Okay, obviously call to order, annual meeting minutes, nominations, we're doing the agenda. I have further down on the list here, ballot and board candidate declarations, which we'll cover. Chairman's report, treasurer's report. Now here, the following items are where we would plug in the resolutions for water control project.
Makes sense.
So we need to be just a little bit more specific for Jenny to write this.
You're
How do,
up.
in which order do you wanna cover them? You know which ones have to be addressed.
So you're on 6.
Well, you can put them any place. I'm just, once you get past the treasurer's report, then we have to be specific to our project.
And we have, that's, the project's defined,
Yes.
so we.
But what
So-
are you asking them for?
Right. You're asking, there's gonna be a borrowing resolution? I would guess that you'd want the borrowing resolution after the authority to proceed with the water control project?
Which is a dam repair.
Water control project.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it what DNR calls it.
So that's all the same.
Yeah. So those two, or do you think there's,
Well, from a financial perspective, if you don't know how much the project costs, you don't know how much you're gonna borrow. You can generalize, so, you say, this is a mandated project, we have to do it. And then, moving forward, we only have $700,000 to spend out of the dam fund, because we don't have any more. And then we think we're gonna borrow $1.5 million for a period up to 10 years.
okay? So we're gonna say resolution after the treasurer's report for borrowing authority.
So, are we doing the proceed with water control project after the treasurer's report first to approve that, and then but the borrowing resolution for the?
You're absolutely right. Thank you, Jenny.
Okay.
What do you think, gentlemen?
Sounds good.
Al, can I ask a question? So let's just say the people voted that saying, no, we don't want it. But yet you have a mandate that you have to.
I can't do anything about
Who's
that. Out of
gonna
my
sell it?
control.
I'm sorry?
Who's gonna sell the project? I mean, because we're gonna have to,
Yeah,
we're gonna have to sell it to,
that's what I'm
explain
saying.
it and.
And I'm wondering if you don't get the
That's
approval
exactly
before you get the money. Because if you get the money, try to get the money, and you don't get the money, there's no sense in trying to get the approval.
Yeah.
So if you get the approval of the project first, saying, we have to do this because of mandate, and, on and on and on,
Yeah, and that's where I was.
and then
going.
people say, okay, yes, we understand that, we need to do this,
Can
and
Jeff,
now the next resolution would be, here's the cost. Or,
Well,
not trying to put words.
that's where I was saying it's all the same. I
It
think
is,
it's
but-
one resolution that lists all the pieces.
I think you have to have a borrowing resolution
I know we're gonna
separate.
have to have a boring
Yeah,
resolution.
we have to,
Yeah.
yeah. that
I mean, you can
states
say
you have
that
to do that.
it's water control project in the amount of, but,
Right.
so you could say it, proceed with it, water control project in the amount of not to exceed, or however you decide to do it.
Okay, so after the treasury report, continuation of the water control project, either resolution or just an agenda item for approval, for action. Then after that is a resolution for the borough.
Yep. And again, you might wanna run these by the
Correct.
attorney, of course, just make sure we
Correct.
have the wording
I think we
correct.
can draft that, but we can approve the language.
Yes.
The language, the concept of the agenda, so we're legal with the committee.
What's gonna be on there.
Presenting an agenda for it.
Okay?
Okay?
Yeah, that's fine, but like to Bill's point, you can't have one without the other.
Yeah,
So
you have to do this.
Well, but it still has to be, I know the borrowing authority is gonna be its own resolution.
Yeah,
I don't
that has
know
to be.
if the water control project's gonna be included in that or not. I don't think it is.
I think for the people that are in the audience, and we're gonna help try to sell this thing, if you sell, we need to have we need to fix the dam. And I think that's a pretty easy sell.
It's a directive.
It's a directive, and this is what we can do by fixing it. Maybe stop the no wakes, maybe lower the water. I mean, I think once people realize that, they're gonna say, yeah, okay. I would hope they would anyways, the property owner, and we're all property owners. And then you go into saying, now here's the cost with the resolution that we need. You got 700,000, you need to borrow X amount of
We
dollars.
could get the project approved but not funded.
Yeah,
I mean, you could do, everybody could say, yeah, let's do it, but no, we're not up for 2.5, let's,
now what do we do?
now what do we do?
Yeah.
That-
But I think if people realize they've improved the
I think
project,
Mhm.
they can see what they need to be
everyone I've
done.
talked to, I've never heard anything negative about doing it yet.
No.
Even at $2.5 million.
Because I think, to your point, Mark, if I understood right, you have a $30 fee for just to run your normal show,
Right,
and you got a $45 fee for the project
for 10 years.
for 10 years. I mean, that's $75. I mean,
Let's hope that
for
the
what we
engineer
get out
will
of
allow
$75,
it.
I think that's a pretty easy sell.
So, Bill,
Or at least I hope anyway, it's an easy sell.
Bill, are you saying that you would like it, or you're requesting it to be one line item for without a cost, the approval of the project, and then a cost?
Why couldn't you put them?
That's what
could-
I'm asking, if
Yeah,
he
you could put
wants
A
it
and B,
to.
but it's just,
So, Mark said he wanted to have that cost included in there, is what I'm understanding, so,
Mark, is that what you want, Mark?
Well, the governmental piece of this is hard for me to satisfy. I just think it's one item. And it costs X amount of dollars and we have so much money. So I don't know how to break it up to make it.
and the governmental portion of, that I would think, is that it would be one item to approve the project, and then how to fund it would be the separate one. But, again, I think there's,
So whatever
it's a gray
satisfies,
area.
If it's 2 lines to
Yeah.
talk about one thing, then that's what it is.
I think you'd have
I
better.
think that's the way it's gonna have to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Next would be approval of the budget and tax levy. And I think we need to address that just like that. We can talk about the levy at the budget hearing, but the confirmation of that would be under that agenda.
So
And that's the way,
we, in our case, we may want to split that, or remove that approval of the budget, which is our general budget, under the treasurer's report, and
we can do that.
then if you put, the special assessment beneath the dam, because then you're
Separate one.
keeping your like items together.
Okay.
So it would be less confusing.
So you want the language approval of the budget and tax levy under a bullet point of the treasurer's report?
Yeah, we're proving that, assessment or amount whether it's a mill rate or an assessment, to fund a lump sum budget that's broken down, da-da-da. And then special assessment is the capital project piece that would be, you know, in order to do this, we have to charge everyone another $45 as a special assessment to make this $180,000 payment.
So why wouldn't you seek approval of the water control project? Then you can talk about the costs and the costs of the levy, costs of special charge, and its impacts on the levy via special charge after that. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, because we're creating an opportunity to nix the water control projects in the way this is formatted, that it might be irrelevant. Like you'd be talking about the two charges, but the one might not happen. So if you don't approve them separately, because you're leaving the door open on that damn project by first of all approving the project and then approving the borrowing. So you really don't have a special charge until those two things happen.
Okay.
Is there another opportunity to approve the project, like fund it, if they voted not to fund it, anytime before the next annual meeting? I mean, because if we have it as two separate
You could call a
pieces.
special meeting. So, Mark, like, you want the approval of the budget and tax levy at the treasurer's report, correct?
Yeah, and now the budget and tax levy is general, or general cost of
Correct.
operation, like
Correct.
and then the assessment below the dam.
Correct, and the whole thing, just like you did this evening, could be explained.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna preface all this with communication via the website, but yes. Okay, square with that, Jenny?
All right, so moving the approval of the budget underneath the treasurer's report. Okay,
Okay,
Then you're adding a special approval of the special assessment in with under the approval of finance, or approval of borrowing. The resolution for borrowing, then, you're explaining that creates this special charge.
the special assessment.
those are the things that we're gonna have to run by. We can include them in the agenda, but we wanna run the specific in front of Danielle,
Yeah.
because she's gonna write a resolution addressing that.
So as of right now, I'll include that in there and then send it to her and she can make sure it's correct in the right order.
Okay, tabulation of vote and election of board members. Want to word that differently? Is that okay? Shameless borrowing?
So where's the vote? Tabulation
The vote,
When do you hand the ballot to them, in other words?
yeah,
Or when do you say that we're gonna vote now?
Well, I've got a sneaking suspicion it's gonna go a lot faster than the last few years, so.
Right, but you remember, the statute changed.
Yes.
it didn't change that much.
No, but there was a little
Right,
funkiness.
and I'll go over that.
So where do you put that? Do you put it up front? Do you put it? in the
Well,
middle?
we have item number 3, nomination of board candidates. And we could certainly
Yeah.
have a timed election in there. You have to close down the ballot distribution, start the vote, and have that ballot, that voting take place. It can take place during the meeting, which is fine. You're gonna have, and I'll talk about this as well, but you're gonna have some boxes to put ballots in, none of this handing them to the end of the roll. We're gonna, you put your own ballot into a box.
You pass the box down the road.
No, you don't pass the
No.
box anywhere, the box sits there.
So then they get up and they put it in.
Correct.
So, okay, and that's fine. I mean, to what you're saying, but then you're gonna have, you stop the meeting to let the vote. And then people get up and put their ballots in, then you start your meeting again. Is that what you're saying?
Not exactly. No, because what the restriction is you cannot hand out any more ballots once voting is started. So if, let's say, they decide to do it right after the nomination of board candidates, they can say voting started, and then as far as when their time frame, whether it's an hour, half an hour, whatever it may be, they can decide that. It doesn't have to be the whole meeting stops while they're voting.
But then also, they have to be present, so then at that point, let's say I do that, I fill my ballot out, I get up and I go put it in the box and I leave.
You can
That's
leave
fine.
if you want.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
don't,
that- I mean,
yeah,
that-
you don't have to,
that-
the statute doesn't
You
say you
will
have
lose a certain amount of people that touch the vote.
Right.
Yeah,
And
so
you're
that's
gonna
why Al and I talked about
fine.
it, doing it sort of after nomination of board candidates. Let's just say if they decide to say, okay, those people can say what they're for, start the vote, and then the people that don't want to continue the meeting can
Just
leave.
Put the ballots in and leave.
Yes. But again, if that's the process you guys would like to do.
Okay, should we plug in after, before the chairman's report, the starting of the vote? Initiation of vote?
It'd definitely be right up front, so it isn't drug out to the very end.
Yeah. Okay. And then, what kind of time period do you think the vote should be? Until the approval of the budget and levy, time limit?
Whatever that takes from 3 to 9. Then
Would you just put a call out there at that point? Any other voting, place your votes now and
Well, I think we need to be upfront and say the voting will end in 30 minutes. The voting will end at the completion of the agenda item number 4 or 9 or whatever you're on.
Even last year, once you voted, it didn't take long to vote done.
It was, no
It was
one really
chaos,
knew.
but it wasn't.
No one really knew when it ended or.
Yeah, nobody knew when to count and.
Yep, so that's what the goal,
Is
at
to-
least again, my volunteer portion of goal is that to make it very simple, very straightforward. There's your boxes, you put it in. If you want someone else to put it in, you can give it to somebody else, but you have the capability of putting it in, you know the time frame, you're done, tabulation.
I don't agree with you, Jenny. You do not give that ballot to somebody else to put in that box.
That's up to them.
Yep, so again,
You
if they
put that
choose to.
in your box
Yep.
yourself.
So it's
But
just.
then you also indicated that, when do you stop handing ballots out?
That would be at that time, the
That would be at that
initiation of the vote.
time. After the nomination of board members, when they get done speaking, you say the handy or the ballot distribution is complete.
Those boxes will not be available
Okay.
to put the
How
votes in.
How does the person get the ballot?
We'll go over that.
That's why, that's why I'm asking
We'll
that
go
question, because we had conversations last month on how that might happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's basically the format we're gonna go with. 30 minutes?
I will-
Agenda item?
I will say the only concern that I would have to make sure everyone understands is the tabulation of vote. Depending on when you end the voting, it will take a amount of time to tabulate everything. So
Correct me if I'm wrong, too, in there, you have to tell them how many ballots were handed out and how many were casted.
yep,
Yep.
it's pretty standard election for that portion of it. Again, the issue that my concern was I really wanted it to be a certain amount of time frame. Unfortunately, with the changes to those statute, made it a lot more difficult for people to have that opportunity of just voting. So now with that, we have to do this portion, which again, it may have an issue of someone taking a little extra time. We may have the tabulation of the vote after the approval of budget. People may be sitting for a certain amount of time depending on how long it takes if you do it right before the approval of the budget.
Okay, and we can, when we call the meeting portion of the agenda order, we can remind people that the distribution of ballots is going to end after the nomination of candidates. So they can, if they have not received their ballot yet, handed in what we're going to do, certification, then they need to get that done. And maybe we ought to shorten it, Jenny. Maybe we ought to shorten it to 20 minutes, just a.
Whatever you'd like.
The 15 minutes, 20 minutes is a long time for a group of people to vote. Right.
It would probably be simpler to do 15 minutes because someone who is assisting with the voting would be able to say, okay, it's whatever time and
Right.
that's it. You'd probably recommend somebody to say, just as a reminder, it's now 15 minutes, but.
Okay.
And for all fairness to your board, that you're trying to move on with the meeting, if you're only going to hold it stop it for 15 minutes, I would just stop the meeting for 15 minutes.
That's exactly what I had in mind.
And let them vote and drop the ballots and
Right.
do whatever you want from that point on.
Right. And why couldn't, we don't have to have the tabulation of the vote. Well, what I'm saying is we don't have to put in the agenda the tabulation of the vote. When the vote ends, the votes can be tabulated.
Yeah, I don't know
have the
if we
election of
do.
the board members, the result of the vote.
Yeah. I don't know that answer, if it's
And I-
required in that statute or
Yeah,
not.
how that new statute read, I don't have it with me.
Time allotted for board members to witness the vote and all
Yeah, you
that
have
kind
to
of
have somebody
stuff.
there to witness the vote and, I mean, but that could be representatives of the,
Witness the count.
yeah, the witness the count up there and
Yeah.
the tabulation
Each candidate or their representative
can be
there
the
to
witness of the.
witness the count.
Yeah, so you'd almost have to then make that time, cause you'd be in the meeting where they wouldn't be able to do, if they wanted to, do that. So then you'd have to carve out a certain amount of time again, that the meeting would stop and tabulate the votes, go ahead.
And at that time, they could
And they'd have
say
time
how
to go
many-
and
how
witness
many
the
votes
count.
were cast and how many were.
And if there's a tie or if there's a dispute, you have the right to. Go on, I'm
That's
sorry.
the statute.
Yeah, that's a statute, yeah.
What's that, Bill?
I said, then they have the part in there about what, if there's a tie or if there's a dispute.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, then you have the right
The
to
ol-
recount.
The
and
only other,
It just,
information in that new ruling was they doubled down on no proxies or mail-in ballots.
yeah, definitely that.
So then basically it's recounts and
Yeah.
process of recounts. So,
So
okay,
is
we,
the thought 15 minutes?
we've established the 15 minutes to vote, but there's no reason after that 15 minutes why they can't be counted.
Very definitely.
So the candidates can set a representative if they want to participate in the meeting.
Sure. To go watch the tabulation.
Right.
I don't know if it, cause it's or representative, it doesn't say you can, I don't know if, I'm not one way or the other, but if somebody wanted to physically see that, it wouldn't, we denied that and forced her to send a representative when I don't think it says that. I don't know, I don't wanna, that's something for a lawyer, I guess, to look at and see if that, I don't know that anybody would care one way or the other, but without giving them that shake to do that, I don't know that you open yourself up for another.
In the past,
Yeah.
they have disputed that somebody went down and looked at it. That would,
Mhm.
and I think that's one of the reasons this new statute is.
Mhm.
Okay, I think maybe we can leave this language in here. Tabulation of vote
Yeah.
is really the result of a count. Tabulation.
So when will they start to be counted? After those 15
Right
minutes?
after the 15 minutes. And then, okay.
Okay, so
Good.
keep the language that's there.
Yep. Anything else
I don't have good handwriting. Yep.
before the adjournment?
Don't lose
item?
him.
Yes.
I have a question. In the past, with regards to voting on other aspects of the meeting, the ayes and nays have held up their voter card. Will there be something else that the voters would get along with their ballot to indicate that they are, because there's spectators that come to the
They're masked.
meetings too who aren't elected.
Yeah.
So that's just something that occurred to me and I thought I would share with that.
That's a good point.
Yep, it really is, a blue, give 'em a blue
Okay.
card or.
I was gonna say the worst you could give a ballot with a little blue construction paper or something. I mean, yeah, I would.
Voted
Blue
something
card
that
or
goes with
something.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it that way.
Just something.
Do you have a specific color? Blue for water or? Oh, you never know. Somebody
Can't
could have a
tell
question.
anybody yet.
Something
It's
random.
gotta be a surprise.
All right, fine. I will choose a color.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay.
Your
Keep the secret till the day. Yeah.
Okay,
No ringers.
then the meeting of
Sure.
the board of directors is pretty common to elect officers. I'm hoping somebody takes this job.
No, no.
Do we have candidates yet?
Yeah. Okay, before I go on, I'm gonna read a note from Jim Jelinek. For tonight's meeting is unable to attend. He shared this with Jenny. Regarding holding the annual meeting in person, I want to show that I vote or highly recommend if voting language is not appropriate to hold the annual meeting in person in August. Based on discussions with Rock County Health Department, specifically Rick Wiederson, an event of more than 25 people is still not recommended. The data is currently trending in the wrong direction since we are anticipating 350 plus people. I feel we would be liable or at least a reasonable, at least responsible in the case of an outbreak in connection to the event. I realize that state statute requires, but this is a pandemic. I think we should explore virtual options if we insist on moving forward. I do not think we have adequate time to install proper health and safety precautions. I would even suggest connecting with an attorney if needed to request language or guidance that we could use in the event that we need to postpone the meeting and have it virtual. I did speak with Danielle specifically about this today, and her opinion is state statute directs the annual meeting, and it's up to us to make it a safer decision.
Where are we gonna hold it?
Right,
Right here?
just like that.
I
You
talked-
like it?
Yeah,
No
building.
rain.
I talked to Eric Olson on the same thing, and he says even a pandemic does not stop, for whatever reason, on a lake district, it does not stop your requirement for an annual meeting. Okay.
Duly noted in the minutes. Thank
Yep.
you. We need a motion on the agenda. Proposed draft agenda for the annual.
We just went through, so.
The one we just went through.
Also move.
I'll second that.
Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, as I said before, we're gonna use a voter certification. Questions for our council on the voter certification and our ability to distribute that. And several other questions. Rick, one specific that you asked, and some that Mark asked. Okay. I asked, we're going to use a voter certification for expediting check-in annual meeting. Can the Lake District distribute the voter certificates with the annual newsletter to landowners and eligible voters at the eligible parcel mailing address? Can the Lake District have a download copy on the website for printing? A response, yes. Distributing via mail and via website is fine. You should also have copies available at the meeting, obviously, for those people who inadvertently forgot to bring their certificate. The important thing to remember is absentee and proxy votes are specifically prohibited, so you need to ensure that when someone hands you a voter certificate to get a ballot, it is for themselves. Electors and property owners have to be physically present to vote. Okay. I asked a question, voter verifications, as an example. Landowner requests a ballot for property. Renter of same property requests a ballot. Which person gets the ballot? Her answer, both the landowner and the renter get a ballot. Chapter 33 refers to both property owners and qualified electors when discussing voting rights, which is a distinction from the municipalities, which generally refer to just electors and exclude non-resident property owners. Wisconsin statutes define qualified electors as any citizen of 18 or older who has resided in the election district for 28 consecutive days before any election. Wisconsin statute 602(1), such statutes allow both property owners and renters who reside in the district territory to vote.
Yep.
Okay.
Makes it clear.
There's something a little bit unique on the LLCs too.
Yes, I was going to cover that.
Oh, yeah.
Back to the agenda. I asked a question. Maybe I should have read this before. In reviewing the Lake Ripley annual meeting, including is a budget hearing prior to the called annual meeting. What is the advantage of the budget hearing over including the budget in the annual meeting agenda? For answer, I believe Lake Ripley has a hearing prior to the annual meeting to allow for less formal discussion of the budget. Towns use a similar process before their annual meetings. The budget is made available, public can make comments, and the treasurer and other board members can answer questions of taxpayers. However, the budget is still to be introduced and approved at the annual meeting per state statute. A separate, less formal budget hearing may be helpful in your case this year if you anticipate a lot of questions from property owners, electors regarding the levy issue. However, it is not required as your annual meeting procedures fulfill any budget notice hearing requirements. Okay, I asked another question. Landowner requests a ballot. Also requests a ballot for representing a business LLC on a different parcel. Does this person receive two ballots? For answer, the law is somewhat ambiguous on this issue, in part because lake districts are unique in allowing representatives of organizational property owners to vote. In my opinion, the person in the example above receives two ballots as they are representing two lake district entities. Individual property owners and two, the organization. Please note that it is different than a single property owner who owns multiple parcels as they represent only one interest. A property owner does not get more than one vote simply because they own multiple parcels. That's the question you asked.
Yep. So that means that if you're a landowner in the district for a house or residence and a business, you can bring both those votes, because it was kind of
Correct.
seeming like you could.
Yeah, technically you have to have as you mark this, as an official representative, you would put the name of the organization, and you're supposed to bring the authorization from the organization. So that would mean you'd fill out one of these, owns land within the boundaries of Lincoln, or lives there. And then the second one would be the organizational representative. Okay. Where am I? Okay, these certifications, we will get ready, printed, and while we're talking about printing, Mark, I guess we'll just probably have the printing done in Edgerton.
It's up to you, what you'd like to do.
I can print the stuff too, it doesn't,
Yeah, this is gonna take hundreds of copies.
yeah, that's all right. Just a
It's
couple
gonna-
reams of paper and some ink. I don't mind doing it. We have some
You
pretty.
wanna buy some buoys too?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if you can, whoever we have print it, then it's gonna take a good amount of time to put everything in an envelope, because we're gonna have to have a regular envelope, since we're going to the voter certifications in there, so
So,
stuffing envelopes and.
something like an Office Max or Staples, they do the packet stuff, like cheaper than anybody.
Yeah, the issue is timing. So, for example, I contacted 2 different companies that normally do things like utility bills or mass mailings. The issue is the timing. Normally they need roughly 3 weeks to a month before, and that's to verify all the addresses, put everything together, then send it out. So,
I did Minuteman in Janesville with the Excel spreadsheets, and it was,
yeah, if you have another option, that would be, yeah, that's great.
So you help us out in getting the printing done. We'll get this going here
yeah,
early next week.
so you're gonna mail those out.
We're gonna mail voter certificates with the letter and the copy of the budget. And I think we need to include a narrative of the things that we're gonna talk about in the resolutions.
The only thing a lot of people will forget theirs, so you're gonna have a paper copy there.
Exact, paper
So
copy here.
It's like,
Yep.
maybe just a stack of paper copies there, is it?
The concern too that, Alan, after reading the attorney's portion, is that are you requiring any voter verification? Because it's up to us to verify voter verification they're present. So if they're in the mail, somebody's bringing it to you, it could be Joe Schmo if you're not verifying what that address is, and are you requiring any kind of proof of residency?
If you take it too far enough, that could happen regardless how you do it. Like, it just seems like we should make this a little easier on ourselves. And, because you're gonna have, like 4 ways to get a voter certificate right now. Because what that is doing is, it puts the onus on the voter to say, I'm a legitimate voter, and it takes that away from the district. Like, I don't, it's a great tool, because you're committing fraud if you come in, fill that out, and you're not in the district.
It says right on the bottom, doesn't it say felony?
Yeah.
It's, you know,
So like, I mean, I don't know too many people that are willing to do that.
But at the check-in, you could just, this is my driver's license, this is my name, Just that simple, quick
What's the matter with the
verification.
driver's license? Everybody's got one, assume.
Well, that's what they need to establish, so what the proof, do they need a
How-
proof
how
of
they're gonna do- yeah,
residency?
what is-
Yes,
what is
because
residency?
the last meeting they discussed, that there wasn't going to be anything, it's just when you come in, you sign it and you give it to it and change it for a ballot. So if there's going to be a voter verification, then you have to have a list of those addresses, verifying where those addresses are, et cetera. And if that's the direction they'd like to go, then
I get it now.
that's
Or-
the,
Or with just if you brought that piece of paper up, Alan, you had it signed with your name and everything on, and you requested a driver's license.
yep.
You just, okay, the name is the same as the driver's license, and like you say, if it's fraudulent, it's a felony.
Yep.
But at least you're making them show you something else than just giving you that and walking through.
But that's the portion, is that they have to say something like, okay, we need proof of residency to verify the voter certification. Because otherwise, again, government election, if that's not required, you cannot ask for that at all. So that's why it's just as long as whatever you choose to ask for.
You can't ask for residency, you gotta ask for ownership. Because
No, residency, because a tenant can be, it says a tenant can be it, so that would be residency.
You
So-
have to verify the name
That's all you're doing.
Yep.
through the name on the
Yep.
voter
So whatever
certificate.
you'd like to call, if you'd like to call it verifying your ID or verifying your name or however you'd like to do it, but
Because
that's
these
just
people don't
something has to be
remember, they
said.
don't have to be residents.
Well, again, that's just my
In-
word,
internal,
but
yeah.
again, whatever words
yeah.
you'd like to use of verifying. If you'd like to do some kind of voter verification or voter eligibility to
Yeah.
verify that name, then it has to be approved here
But
to
if
do
they-
that.
If they got that and they march it with a driver's license, isn't that enough?
But
That's
again, as
exactly
long
what
as
I'm
they,
talking about.
yep, as long as
But
they
you gotta
say that
state
that's
that
what
there,
it's,
you know, some that, and what Al's saying, you're gonna have to have proof, you know, your driver's license along with this, the bill.
So
Or an
you-
ID.
So you're
because the
saying,
student
Jenny,
could-
this has to be noticed.
if you just, however you choose to do it, if you say you just want to hand the person a ballot by us saying you're giving me that voter certificate, that's fine. Or if you want, if there's some verification that's needed to verify that name matches some kind of something on that sheet, then that's just another level. So then that would need to be approved.
Okay, we have that as an action item, actually.
So again, it's just the process, whatever the process you want the people, again, that are literally taking or handing out those ballots, how you'd like them to do it.
I think just, like you say,
So you,
or an
so you,
ID, a
then
state
you're
ID.
checking to see if that address is,
Just the person,
Does he have a state ID?
so that's what that form is.
correct. They print their name,
But then he
you
signs
show
that
some
same
sort of
day,
a book
that's
club
it.
or ID or whatever that you are that person that you're printing your name.
Photo ID.
Photo
We're
ID,
gonna ask for.
yeah.
So-
Well, that's the question, if you want a photo
Yeah.
ID or you just want a verification of name or,
Again, it kinda came back to the checking in deal, but I don't, what it have to be.
You want it as quick as possible. Because that's the closest interaction that the public is gonna be with the person handing, you know, out those.
Right, and then you have the, social distance thing going on too,
Right.
But, you know,
leave it on the table, and I'll come look at it.
Don't be thinking this a little bit. I come up to the table and you hand me one of those. Let's say I don't bring one along with me. I hand me one. I give you my driver's license. Well, my name isn't on that. So what's that really,
no,
you're
you
thinking,
have to, you would,
what's that really doing?
no matter what, he's saying that you have to have the voter certificate filled out,
Okay.
no matter what, but.
Before you get your vote.
Yeah, but the question is will there be any kind of verification that this name, if I put Jenny Salvo on here, do I have to prove at all that I have something saying that, or is it just here's the certificate, and whichever is fine, but here's the certificate, I wrote my information down, I hand it back, I don't have to show you anything and continue on. It's just the process of what you'd like.
30 minutes of light left, people.
And then,
Well,
to-
good meeting.
and then, you know,
Is that a motion?
Yes, that's the
What,
motion.
what's the motion
The
though?
motion.
Jenny just said.
I just said two completely.
Fill out
The
the
easiest of
certificate.
course is literally the voter certificate. I hand it to you, you fill it out, and that's it.
Identification verification, or what are you?
Well, driver's license or something to prove it's you.
Whatever you choose.
because you're gonna have.
Fergie won't be able to vote.
You're gonna have a.
Well, that's the problem is there's a lot of
You could
people that don't
actually
have ID, so.
After the, after the meeting,
Yeah.
if you really wanted to.
They'll be scanned and put in.
Yeah,
file.
I mean,
That's-
yeah.
So if somebody really
So-
said, I didn't live in the
So we
district, but
just
yet
need
I
the
voted,
language.
you'd have a record of that.
So we just need the language of what you guys want for identification verification.
Basically, if you do or you don't is two.
I would say not, because you're creating a lot of close interaction that you don't need to. In order to look at somebody's driver's license, or there's gotta be,
Yeah.
you know, that pass back and forth or whatever, and like, under the circumstances, simple is way better. That's what I think.
Is that a motion?
I'd second that.
I'll
Okay.
make a motion, keep it simple, voter certificate.
So utilize voter certificate as the eligibility? Is that what your
Yeah, if they're
intent
lying.
is?
Catch them, they're in trouble.
Yeah, it's a risk, we're taking a chance.
In view of the COVID situation.
And you're dealing with maybe part of Jim's.
First
problem,
motion wasn't
Trying to
seconded,
keep
was
this
it?
thing awake.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to,
To utilize voter certificate as eligibility
Correct.
requirement for voting?
correct.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we did the agenda. Location is here, is that good with people?
Unless it's raining.
And the biggest project of this evening is finding volunteers or employees or whatever, we can pay them. And how many do you think we need? 10?
10. Minimum of 10, and the more the better would be great. Because there's voting and check-in is going to be the biggest portion that's going to take time. So people that are comfortable with having a mask, and again and then also tabulating and just again, I don't know what my role is going to be once the meeting starts either. That's the portion that that I'm concerned about, of making sure for recording for the meeting minutes. But again, I can work that out as long as there's people that are interested in assisting.
Okay.
I see a hand.
I
Okay,
would
I'll talk to you
volunteer-
afterwards then.
I would volunteer
Okay.
to help.
Yeah, and I have a couple people that would be, that I bagged, so,
I have at least one.
yeah, okay. So just, yep, if you're interested, then just let me know, and then we'll get people
And
involved in it.
speaking of volunteers, we'll need to supply them with masks,
Yep.
gloves, sanitizer. How about a shield? Not on the face, but they could wear a face shield.
The shields would be a recommended. The goal would be, whether it be in that shelter up there or down here, and again, it may be weather dependent also, is to have some kind of shield between, and we have them at City of Edgerton, like that they were roughly maybe $30-$40 at the most to do, so the goal would
We
be,
could probably find a volunteer to make us a couple.
Shields?
what it is actually is just literally a piece and then 2 shelf brackets, piece of plexiglass. So there's room to go underneath where you hand it.
It's a.
I was gonna say,
it's a-
Eric's
the
seen
City
them.
Hall are
Yes.
great models.
It's a a horizontal 2x4
Yeah, I
foot
know.
long, a vertical 2x4, 2 feet long, and a piece of plexi on
I'm looking at, if we use a pick, the township may have some, let me see if I get the town, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need them for election.
I mean, our goal would be to have, the absolute goal would be just to have 6, because I can see 3 tables and you break everything up that way. You're going to have 1 table specifically for people that don't have their certificates, and then divide it up for A to whatever, and then M to Z. So,
The one problem I do know is plexiglass is real hard to get right now.
mhm.
The township's looking for someone. You can't get it from Baker, and I guess James can't get it.
So part of the process, and part of the message on the website and the newsletter, and even communications here, is people bring their own chairs, bring their
Yes.
own pen,
Yes.
bring their own writing surface, unless they want to do it on the concrete.
Yeah, so that's up to them. That's up to them. So the city of Edgerton, their position is that as long as there's no services given, then they're not going to stop any kind of a large gathering, since it's just against it. But so that's, for example, if we used picnic tables, we could use some picnic tables. The idea is hopefully people are going to be bringing their own chairs.
Here, if you spread them out.
There is, but the goal would be for people to use their chairs as much as
Use
possible.
their own chairs.
Yep.
Use their own chairs. They can pick them up and walk away
Yep.
with them.
So,
Good point.
yep. Pens, I would say we would need to purchase pens because people aren't going to bring them, and there's just, for as small of cost it is to have 500 pens or whatever, then I think that would definitely be worth it. Hand sanitizer. So.
Maybe we would get State Group to sponsor pens.
I can get some pens.
Pens, hand sanitizer. Yes, the sanitizer, if anyone has any places to get large amounts of it.
I think I can get Joseph to put on some plexiglass stands.
Yeah, he could handle that. too.
Okay, the last thing I want to cover is process, how we're gonna divide this place up. Are we gonna put some caution tape in sections so our tabulators can count votes on a couple of agenda items? So they have a section in it, like the seats at the auditorium. You'll have a tabulator there, and then the tabulator can carry a notebook, write down the agenda item that's voted on, write down their number of votes. So everything is tabulated.
Sorry, what?
Everything is tabulated.
For how many, for each agenda item? For counting? How many
For-
people
for-
are in the,
For votes,
Ones that you need to vote on.
yeah,
okay,
So there might be only, what, 3 that you really have to vote?
probably.
okay.
But you need somebody to tabulate that.
Did they count how many? Okay,
So I'm gonna suggest maybe we use the trees in the woods, but it's gonna be 10 o'clock in the morning. Or do you think we ought to get Mike to bring along some yellow cones?
Orange cones?
You got plenty of those done?
Yeah.
I just
I'm
think
not
it
sure
needs to
about
be in
that.
sections, otherwise they're double counting and
Mhm.
not counting.
Just isolate them.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay.
yeah.
All right. The last is the ballot, that will be printed up, and the board candidate declarations. So, Bill, you have declared your candidacy,
Okay? Yes.
and I understand, Mike Hart is declaring.
Mike Hart told me he's going to, if Bert Reamer doesn't.
I'm not. So Mike's in.
I talked to Mike yesterday, and he said he
Are
wasn't.
there any other candidates wishing to have their names on the ballot? Any other candidates wishing to have their names on the ballot?
Are you going to have a deadline for that?
I think it's tonight.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing in statute that requires, a deadline.
And there'll be blank sections on there if somebody doesn't
Right.
add that.
Yeah, because there
Yes.
might be nominations
Yep.
the day of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we'll have a minimum
Fully expected.
minimum of two lines is my thought, on the ballot so that people could write those in.
Right.
Okay.
Do you
And
need,
I-
do you need spelling? or-
Yes, Mike Hart.
or-
HART or
Yeah.
HE? Okay,
Is it Mike or Michael?
Michael.
okay.
Is Is it Bill or William?
Whichever
Leave it
you'd like
Bill.
to go with. Okay.
It's not William.
You had to
by the way.
think about that.
No, it's not William. Leave it Bill.
Okay.
Willard?
It's whatever
No,
you
it's
choose
not
to
Will.
put on there, so. Do we need that in writing at all?
You got mine.
You've got
I think we have it in the minutes, so.
just a minute? Okay. I didn't know if there's any papers that need to be filled out.
I think I'm flexible enough that somebody calls me tomorrow.
You got a sound system you're gonna use, or?
Oh, what?
Yeah, Jeff
Sound-
Birch is gonna donate.
Sound,
Yeah.
who?
Jeff Birch. Birchie.
Do we have any ballot boxes? Or do we need to make those as well?
You can take just a cardboard box. I mean,
You want it tampered?
No. Yeah, with a padlock.
yeah,
We
that's
have-
right. The new ordinance, or the new
Yep.
statute says it's gotta be a box with a padlock on it in case it goes to be the clerk of Fulton, I think.
Yep.
So either you purchase some or you make some.
Yeah.
Preferably 2.
And if we don't have one at the back room at the town of Fulton.
Will you check, please, Gary? Let me know, ASAP. All right. Are there any resolutions tonight? None. Public comment? You have a question? No.
Metering companies, right?
Well, I haven't heard anything. So,
Do they have more time to declare? Is that
like I
correct?
said, I'm,
Mike, if they come on a call, he said I thought
Who
the
are
Mike
the
used
two
to go
incumbents?
around. He told me
Bowers
no, it
and
wasn't
Brown.
true. Yeah, I know, it's just pure anyway.
I will find out the
Yeah,
day
we
of, I
will
guess.
find out, yeah. And I know it's his birthday today, so
Yeah.
that's why he's not here.
Who's that?
Mike Hart.
Turned 60.
Yeah, I think he turned 60.
okay, anything else?
Youngster.
Can you remember that date? 60?
We're running out of light. Motion to adjourn?
I can't either.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Oh, that's later.
I just texted Kyle at last work and I said, can you still get more plexiglass? And I asked you to have it.
Honestly,
He said, yeah, let him know. It's right across from our shop. Yeah. So we need a certain
Yes.
amount.
Yep.
He said he can still get it, so.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if you have to.
Yeah, that's, yeah, he can.
Two Woodman, W-O-D, and then Pond. You know, I wasn't catching quite everything, but if you want to go shield, yeah, the facials, you can get those through print.
Oh, not in actual, it's not in face shield. What it is that, for example, if you and I were standing here, it is one that's a piece of plexiglass.
Oh, no,
and
okay,
then-
I know what
yeah,
those are.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what they were talking about. No,
Okay.
you mean it-
Because you can get like, what is it, 20 for $60.
Yeah, so no,
Two
I
print.
don't
Okay.
think, again, it's.
Well, I don't think that's necessary, but
If somebody would like to request one, then, you know, then
that's
we.
theirs, yeah.
Yeah, then they'll definitely, I think they'd be fine with purchasing
know-
it, but like for me, myself, no, I would do it just to match, so.
No,
that
I'm
would be
fine with
my-
it too. The other thing that I had used with printing and evidence, and I'm drawing a blank, well, Jack's downtown, Janesville.
It's good where you're at.
I've used them to actually print. They'll take your mailing list. I don't know if they would
Well,
proof it.
the issue right now is the time frame. So they're looking at next week for the budget input. So most of the places that I contacted, they need 2 to 3 weeks minimum.
Yeah.
And that
Depends
is
on
also.
how busy they are. Jack's, I've seen them turn it around quite,
So
and they'll mail it, do the bulk mailing
Yep.
themselves, so you don't have to stuff, you don't have to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
anything.
there's lots of great that's just my
Yeah,
concern.
you might wanna at
is
least
how
call
long.
and check
So
it.
that's why, so that's why I said, the one that Mike has mentioned too, we'll ask and see again.
Yeah, Minuteman, that's downtown Janesville too.
Just to see when they need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great to have somebody
Oh my
else
gosh,
do
they
it.
did the stuffing.
Yeah.
They just did their bulk
Yeah, and I
rate.
work for City of Edgerton. We contract it out now because it actually saves us money overall
Right,
because of the,
right.
by the printing costs. and
Oh,
things.
yeah, I mean, we were like, cause we were like,
Times.
trying to get a group together to stuff and to do this and that, and it was like, oh, where they just did it all and shipped it out, and it was great, so.
Joanne, do you have though a phone number or
Sure.
email or both?
Well, both. Phone number is 608-436-4731. And email is Woodman Hodge, all lowercase,
All one word?
all
or
one word,
the-
all one word, @gmail.
Okay.
So,
Great, yeah, as soon as I figure out all the details, there'll be instructions, so, and again,
Sounds good.
everybody will be, specific people will choose to do the election portion of it, and then the other ones are the tabulation, and
whatever
then,
you need,
know,
I
again,
don't have,
have extra
I have
people.
no fear, one way or another, so it just,
That sounds good,
Happy to help.
let's just hope it goes better
yeah,
and
so,
goes well,
than
and
last year was a lot
for lack
painful.
of a better word, it was painful.
I think we are in a great